Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to a new edition of Farming Blind with Duck. On this series, I'm going to attempt to show everyone how someone like myself, being visually impaired, can operate a tractor and cut hay. As you can see, I'm out here in my field with my baling tractor. That's where you see my camera system to where my baler operator, who helps me, can actually see the baler behind us as well as baling the hay. I have about 4 or 5 acres I'm going to try to cut today. If you want to know how I can operate cutting hay, if you see here to my left, this is my fence row, and I have fences that border all around the fields. I know after years of experience and experimenting, kind of getting a feel of things, even though I may not necessarily see it all that well, I know that I can gauge my tractor off the fence, which gives me a good benchmark where I need to run. Then, whenever I make my final cut on the outside, which I'd be going in opposite direction, that will put my mower close to the fence. But I know if I run beside the tracks that I make on this first round, that my mower is going to be about a couple of feet or so, plus or minus, off the fence. As I've said in other videos, I'll lay off the fences just a little bit, even though I may leave some hay. I'd rather do that and weigh on the side of caution versus damaging a fence or tearing up a piece of equipment. So as I get started, I'll give you some samples of me cutting hay shortly. Now, after I've made my first round, as you can see where my mower's cut, which we call that a divider mark or a cut mark, however you want to call it. As I start making my rounds, I usually lay my front tire right against, or shall I say, about a foot off of the uncut hay. Of course, sometimes being visually impaired, it's hard to judge that distance, but a lot of times I can gauge pretty close. If the hay is really tall or thicker hay like it is today, it's not all that bad. On a bright sunny day, it makes it even better. But on a cloudy, dreary day and I'm trying to cut hay, sometimes the contrast to the hay is not all that great. That's basically how I gauge where I need to be, simply the contrast, because I can tell where the cut mark is or the divider mark is a bit darker than everywhere else, and I try to reference to that point. Sometimes I'll leave a little bit of hay, or sometimes I'll try to lay over a little extra to make sure I get everything. Now after I've cut 6 or 7 rounds or so, sometimes I'll cut all the hay in the field, then I'll come back around and catch my last cut, which is near the fence. For today, I decided to just go ahead and step out and cut this extra round. As you can see here, the uncut hay versus the cut that I've already made, and then the fence. This is where I make my reference. Again, sometimes I have to take my time in doing this because it can be a little bit tedious, meaning I don't want to get my equipment into the fence. As you can see there, not very far away at all, but I feel like as long as I can hold in the same marks, I should be good. I'm going to attempt to do this in video as I do it, just taking my time so you can get somewhat of a reference how I'm doing it. As I'm finishing up my field and making my last lap, I want to give you a little bit of a reference how close to the fence I am, based off of what I was saying earlier about gauging where I should run my tires. As you see, I try not to get much closer than that right there. I'll either take my brush cutter and go around the fences where I can get a little closer, or just let it go and let my cows graze it down. And there you have it. The first step in taking up hay. I've successfully cut about 4 or 5 acres. Took me about an hour and a half, plus or minus. Because usually around the first round or two, I'll take my time and try to be a little more cautious. But after I get out in the field, I try to do a little bit faster. So that wraps up step 1 of taking up hay. In the next upcoming videos, you'll see me tethering the hay and also raking. Then we'll transition to baling the hay. And you've already seen a video of us taking it up and putting it in the barn. There's always steps to doing things. Sometimes it falls just right. Then sometimes you have to repeat steps over and over until you get the hay up. But so far this year, we've had a really good year. That's it for step 1, farming blind with duck here on the Barber Farm. Stay tuned for more upcoming videos. Have a great day.